Welcome to the show. I'm Bret Amundson here in hot and windy western Minnesota. Not bad conditions for the wildlife out there. I got to see my first pheasant brood on Saturday. I was pretty excited about that. It's pretty much right on schedule for them. And here's the area that I saw those pheasants in. And I'll tell you why those pheasants are here. A, you've got habitat. B, you've got plenty of food from all the crops around the area. And C, you got water. I'll see those pheasants in a couple of months. I also got to have a little bit of fun flying the drone around and got my other camera out to do some work, some practice, and filmed a stump grinder in slow-mo. This is what it looks like. And if you got a stump here in western Minnesota, some other yard cleanup, brush removal, Tony Crotty can help you out. Here's his phone number with Crotty General Services. Check it out. He did quick work of that stump in my yard. Thank you very much, Tony. Got a really cool show with our friend Cory Loeffler. It's always fun to talk about Cory because you never know what he's going to talk about or what he's going to bring up. So we're going to play some of the videos that he's been a part of. His videos are always entertaining. We're going to talk to him about living off the land, from cooking wild game, preparing it, storing it, to growing it too. He's got a giant garden. We're going to get some tips on what he does with his garden here with Cory Loeffler. Now, this week's show is brought to you by Tasman Lake Lodge in Northwest Saskatchewan. Hopefully we can get across the border into Canada coming up here later in the month. Fingers crossed. TasmanLake.com has all the details. Brought to you by Lake of the Woods Tourism. If you don't want to go into Canada, go up to northern Minnesota, catch walleyes all day long at Lake of the Woods. Go to lakeofthewoodsmn.com for details. Or if you want to try Devil's Lake in North Dakota, fish are biting over there too. Go to HayBaleHeights.com to plan a trip to Devil's Lake, North Dakota, where a bunch of my friends are going this weekend, as a matter of fact, which I was going with. All right, sit back and enjoy this talk we had with Cory Loeffler from the DRC Call Company. Broadcasting from the Tasman Lake Lodge studios, this is Sporting Journal Radio. How much direction are you getting from the governor?
It generates something like $2.4 billion.
The government closed the entire hunting season.
I don't know, maybe you didn't want me to tell the story on the show, but I'm going to tell it anyway.
I knew you were going to go there.
Hey, we got enough deer around here right now. Now we're going to bring on Cory Loeffler from the DRC Call Company to talk calls, to talk turkeys, to talk gardens. And, you know, when you have a conversation with a guy like Cory, you never really know where it's going to go. So who knows what we're going to talk about here today. Cory Loeffler, how's it going, man?
Hey, it's going pretty good. How are you?
Not too bad. Thanks for being on the show. It's kind of a weird time right now. So I like to keep things light, and I like to keep things kind of entertaining and keep people's minds off of everything else that's going on in the world. So you and I usually have some pretty interesting conversations that sometimes can bring levity to a world like this. Everything good up in your neck of the woods up there?
Yeah, everything is great, despite, anything that's going on in mainstream media and anything that's going on in the Instagram or Twitter or Facebook feeds. It looks like a pretty gloomy world out there, and we're in some pretty tough times. But up here in the tundra, the grass is growing, the garden's growing, puppies are growing and getting trained, and we're shipping calls. So, I live so far reserved from anywhere in the middle of where I live. So, no, we don't see any of it. We're pretty slow paced up here, and that's the way I like it.
Yeah, same. Me too. That's where I'm at too. And the difference, though, between where you live and where I live seems to be turkeys. Like, you seem to have a lot more turkeys than I do down here, which seems strange when you think about northern Minnesota versus, central or southern Minnesota. You'd think further south might have more turkeys, and I don't know what the deal is around here right now, but you definitely have more turkeys up there than we do, it seems like.
Yeah, the DNR, Minnesota DNR had reintroduced them into this area, and I don't know the data on when they did that. It was in the early 2000s sometime, and I can't even remember how many turkeys they redistributed from the southeast part of the state. But they put a bunch of turkeys down probably about a 15-mile drive or so from my house, and then some other various locations. And that flock, I think they released maybe 100 of them back 15 years ago or whatever it's been, and that flock has taken off. I wouldn't have a clue how many birds there are, and they have spread out. I'm hearing about birds 40 or 50 miles north of where they were released and 15, 20 miles south of where they were released. So that flock has absolutely exploded. I go to church with half the people that the turkeys winter in their yard. So basically, my church, the congregation is pretty much sick of turkeys because they deal with them all winter long. So for me to get permission to go take some kids out there hunting is super easy, and everyone kind of tells me where they've been seeing them, and those types of that type of networking is, well, it's pretty much about the best you can get. It's a perfect scenario. So the stars aligned. We've got a good situation up here with the turkeys and permission and landowners, and been family friends for pretty much forever. And so we get after them pretty hard. And I don't really even shoot turkeys myself. Doesn't do a whole lot for me. I'm just way more happy seeing and helping someone else get one, especially that first bird, or any youngsters first or second bird. The excitement level is like, if you can crank it up to 11, that's what happens when those kids shoot their first turkey. I mean, it just gets cranked right up to 11. So that's where I find a lot of joy in it. Doesn't do a whole lot for me pulling the trigger. I love eating them, and I just love chasing them every single day. So whenever you want to come up, just swing up. We got turkey camp wide open. We got that flat top grill ready, and we'll.
I may have to take you up on that, because I didn't even buy a license this year, and partly I was kind of busy with some other things. But I did drive around and scout a little bit, and I just didn't see a lot of turkeys around here. And I've seen more turkeys around here in years past. So I don't know if our numbers are just down or if they're smarter than me, which is probably the case. But yep. You took a few people out that we know, and I want to talk about that: Sam Solholt, Max Barta. But you brought up taking kids out, and it reminded me of a story we did. Gosh, Cory, was that 4 or 5 years ago?
Which one?
The 3-year-old.
Oh yeah, 3 or 4.
4.
My cousin's.
I can't remember how old
my cousin's little boy. That was. Oh man, he's shot a turkey every year since then.
Really?
I think he's shot. It's somewhere around 5 or 6 turkeys now, and the kid can hardly pick up a 20 gauge. I mean, he's a turkey hunting fool. But he shot one. I'm pretty sure he shot one opening weekend this year. Got another good bird. He was out with his grandpa, and they called one in, so that was fun.
That kid is less than 10 probably, and has shot more turkeys than I have.
Yeah, well, me too.
Yeah,
maybe you and I combined. He's probably shot more.
Could be. But so how many kids do you try to take out every year?
Any kid that can go and is caught up with schoolwork and can get the morning off, and usually it's father. Usually the dad comes with, or a parent, and we'll try find a morning that works. A lot of times the weekends are pretty clogged up with a lot of people hunting, especially this year with the COVID stuff. I saw, it seemed like 10 times as many turkey vehicles and turkey scouters around than I have in years past, which is great. Puts a lot more pressure on the birds that we're chasing, so they're a little bit more educated earlier in the season. But just to see that much activity out there, experiencing and just getting outside, just living outside and away from Netflix and the computer and stuff. I just love seeing that. So, but yeah, I don't know. Well, how many youth tags we filled this year? It was just like, who can go? Who's got a tag? I know where turkeys are at. Let's go. Let's hammer on it. So
I got
the theme.
Some numbers from this year. This isn't the whole season. It's through season D and might be through season E. I'm not quite sure where these numbers are, but in Minnesota, 63,183 licenses sold so far this year versus 46,389 in all of last year. So
wow.
numbers were definitely up, and that number will probably grow a little bit once we get the final numbers. And I don't know, Cory, if you've seen me talk about the fishing license sales numbers as well, but they're way up. Especially that 16 and 17-year-old figure was up like 69% this year.
Yeah,
and I think that's great. And I think you're right. I think the coronavirus situation, bringing kids out of school, it's given them more time to do other things. And how great is it to be able to take them into the outdoor world? I mean, that's the question we've been trying to figure out, is how do we get kids more involved in the outdoors? And clearly it's a world pandemic, as I've said before. Take them out of school and because of the coronavirus. Take them hunting and fishing.
Yep.
But tell me about who some of the other guys you had. Max and Sam up there. It sounds like this year.
Yeah. So Max Barda, a good buddy of mine from South Dakota, he had a free weekend and he was kind of on a one-man mission to go shoot a whole bunch of turkeys in a few different locations. So he came up and we made pretty quick work of a bird, found one and got in on it right away. Gosh, I think he bought his, he picked his license up at the gas station. They were open about noon. And I think by about 1:30, he had that one filled. And kind of the same story with Sam Soholt with the public lands bus guy. Maybe some of our viewers are familiar with Sam, but same situation. He picked his license up on the way up here. He was coming from Fargo and bought his license right around noon, and 2:30 the tags were punched already. I said we were scouting and found a bird, and I said, well, there's one. That one's gonna be pretty easy. Are you sure you want him? He said, oh, it's huge. Let's go. We got to go get him. So I said, all right, let's go. Yeah. And 15 minutes later, he was flopping. So that was two pretty quick ones. They don't always happen quite that fast. And especially with the kids, I kind of don't prefer if the kids hunts go that fast just because They don't get to experience a whole lot. But those guys are no strangers to a bunch of strutting turkeys. So when the kids have to work at it for a little while, that's it's fun sitting back and kind of letting them paint their own picture. As far as depends on kind of what the situation is with hunting. But a lot of times this year, if the kids were able to hunt easily by themselves, without a ground blind, then we park them maybe behind a strutter decoy and then try get them into a position and pull some strutters in. And a lot of times turkeys are pretty territorial. So they see another strutter strutting in their territory and they've got to come and investigate. And one little buddy, Max, who had a pretty cool YouTube video from last year. I don't know if you remember that one. Young Max, he shot his first turkey last year. He shot his second turkey this year, and he had to lay in a muddy bean field behind that decoy for an hour and a half. It was early in the season. There was still snow on the ground up here, and he froze his butt off and shot his bird. It was very well deserved, and he screamed and hooting and hollering all the way back to the truck. And so that was fun. And we had another young girl, his neighbor. She was with on the hunt as well as his dad. So there was 4 of us out there, and the young girl, that was for her first time turkey hunting. So she got to see what it was all about. And it was just awesome morning. So congrats to little Max on his second bird. And I know they did the same thing with the turkey that Leah did. Leah shot a bird. That's my daughter. And she made a pretty cool YouTube video on her cleaning it all by herself. I didn't help out with that at all. And she cooked it as well because that was a project for school. Speaking of the Corona deal, she had a project for her home ec class where she had to make supper for the family. So she shot her supper. She's probably the only kid in her class that went out and harvested her supper.
That's awesome.
And then proceeded to cook it up for us too, and turned out excellent.
How old is she?
She just turned 15.
15.
She was 14 when she shot it. So
can we show some of that video here?
Yeah, let's do it. Check it out.
Hey guys, it's Leah, and I got this really nice turkey this morning, and I'm going to show you how to debreast it, because we are having fried turkey strips tonight. Alright, so now that we got our slabs of meat, I'm going to wash them up and get all those little feathers off of there. So come back, and we will cut them into strips.
Leo's grocery shopping today. Turkey strips for supper.
Well, that's pretty cool, man. When it comes to wild game and wild game cooking, that's something you take a lot of pride in, isn't it?
Yeah, we don't buy hardly any meat from the grocery store around here, so which is convenient because we live about 20 minutes away from the closest grocery store. So, we stay away from the meat section and we just go shopping out in the woods. Ducks and geese, fish, turkeys, venison, a little bit of everything. So
And then you got that big garden in the back that I wanted to talk to you about, because I think that's Olympic-sized garden, I think is what I remember.
So the garden is drip tape fertigated or drip tape irrigated, and I think we ran another line out there the other day, so we're probably up to about 1,600 linear feet of drip tape, and the drip tape will kind of water like 2 rows basically. So drip tape goes down the middle of 2 rows of plants. So I mean 33,000 feet of plants out there basically. Jeez. So better part of a half mile worth of plants out in the garden. So
how do you have time to do anything else?
I don't even put a whole lot of time into the garden. I till it, and my job is kind of making sure that it stays watered and making sure that the drip tape stays functioning. But my mom turns her sunroom in her house, basically turns it into a jungle from about March until we just put these plants in about 2 weeks ago. So yeah, she starts them all by seed, everything that, you normally, where you put plants in the ground, tomatoes, broccoli, cabbage, that type, peppers and stuff like that. So, she turns it up to 11, her gardening thing. So she's watched more YouTube this year than she ever has in the past. Corona, there's another Corona thing. So she's just watching YouTube and finding different ways to garden. So we were going to try some aquaponic stuff out there this year with maybe some carp and some fish. And I couldn't quite get it totally figured out with water delivery to the plants, but that's on my list. So we have plans. I just don't know exactly how to execute them quite yet. So, but yeah, boy, I wouldn't even be able to begin to tell you what the heck is out there. I can try. We're picking asparagus right now.
Love
the
asparagus.
Raspberries are growing good. I know that. Strawberries, we added a new strawberry bed. And then the pepper stuff, green peppers, some hot ones, some jalapenos, a couple different varieties of tomatoes, watermelons, cabbage, broccoli, kohlrabi, potatoes, corn, peas, beans, parsley, cilantro.
Pretty much everything.
Probably missed a few in there, but we process all that stuff, freeze it some way, shape, or form. Our V8 juice is kind of legendary. If you've ever had one of our V8 juice in the morning, or maybe a Bloody Mary, Caesar. Yeah. Pretty legendary. That's Kelsey's specialty right there. But my grandma's old V4, she calls it. It's like V8, but there's only 4 vegetables instead of 8. So V4, it's good stuff though. It's awesome, super healthy.
So I'm pretty much doing my first garden this year just because I haven't had space or lived at a place long enough to grow in. Anyway, I've got corn, asparagus, and broccoli. Mm-hmm. That's what I got. I got 3 things in there, Cory. 3. Yeah. And half of it's corn, and half of that corn's for me, and the other half's for the deer I'm going to shoot this fall. What's the first, when somebody says, Cory, you got a great garden, I want to do a garden, what's the first thing you tell them? What's the first thing you like a tip that you give these people?
Oh, a tip on gardening. That drip tape stuff, if you have sandy soil or soil that you need to water quite a bit, that drip tape stuff with an automatic timer it's a no-brainer. Our garden gets watered for 45 minutes every night at I don't even know what time I set it at, like 4:30 in the afternoon, something like that. Gets watered for 45 minutes. It gets constant water just to the plants. That's it. So the weeds aren't getting any water. Only the plants get water. So that'd be something to look up on the internet. YouTube stuff has a bunch of information on that. But drip tape irrigation, basically. It's on the same lines as that soaker hose that a lot of people are familiar with, but it's a lot less expensive than that soaker hose. It can get fairly spendy, those things. And the drip rate isn't super constant with them. So yeah, if we had to put 1,600 feet of soaker hose in the garden, I think it'd be about $5,000. So the drip tape is much more economical. So we go that route.
I have a sprinkler.
Yeah.
That goes like this, and then after a while it goes like this.
Yep.
And then mine goes like this again after that.
Okay.
And then like that.
All right. That's all you need. Sprinklers.
It's custom.
The reason we don't use them because we'd have to put so many sprinklers out there, and sprinklers are only about 50% efficient. The drip tape stuff is like 98% efficient, so we can grow a lot more plants with a lot less water, and then we don't have to water the whole entire garden because it is giant. And I don't have that many sprinklers, so drip tape it is.
I want to talk about a video you put out this spring. I think it was right around the beginning of April, and because obviously you're a call maker. Mm-hmm. Some might even call you a wizard. And you came out with a call this year. I've never seen anything like it before. When when you blow into it, it sounds like
what day did that video drop?
Some right around the end of March or
end of March,
beginning of April.
Yeah, right in.
I think
it was the first part of April, I think.
Let's just play. Can we just play the video? Let's just play this video.
What's up, guys? I've got a brand new project I've been working on for a long time right here. Short reed goose call when you blow into it, and a hen mallard when you inhale into the call. So this way you get a goose call. This way you get a duck call. 2 calls in one. Super excited about it. It's not released quite yet, but when it does, jump on drccalls.com and get 25% discount with promo code 4120. Check it out.
Well, that's amazing. I don't know how you were able to do something like that. I mean, it's a engineering marvel.
It just came to me. I remember the day that video dropped. It was 1st of April is when it was.
Oh,
I remember specifically. Yeah. The 1st of April. We got a lot of guys with that one. I got a lot of messages on Instagram wondering how much they were, where they could buy them. Then I got a lot of nasty messages after I told them that it was just an April Fool's joke and they had been had. But good fun all around. Gosh. So it was pretty harmless little fun. But
if any of these people have ever watched any of your videos, they probably should have understood what was happening.
Right.
Because, I mean, I don't know if I've seen one serious video that you've done, Cory. Let's be honest. Has there been which is all right.
I did a Boss Shot Shells video this spring. I think that was pretty serious.
What I'm trying to remember. Well, can we play this one? Can we just play it? We'll just play it.
Check it out. All right.
Right here.
Boss bismuth money bag filled up with 3-inch late season thumpers, 3.5 duplex load, 1350 feet per second. There's 1.5 ounces of copper plated bismuth in here. We are shooting late season, big, giant honkers. These are the fattest, most feathered up birds that you're gonna shoot all year. These are the toughest birds right here. We have the new Vortex Fury range-finding binoculars that have a scan feature in them. You hold the button down and it's gonna give you yardages all the time. So Tristan's behind the binoculars right now. I'm behind the shotgun and he's just ripping out yardages to me. We know the exact yardage of when I pulled the trigger, where that bird was at. We're gonna shoot the birds, hopefully get a couple more, and we are going to put a pattern board out in the field exactly where that bird was shot at the exact range so that you guys can see what this pattern looked like in a real hunting situation where that bird was shot. It doesn't get any more real or live than this. It's a little project we put together for you guys. I'm Cory Loeffler with the DRC Call Company. Let's go have some fun. Got him. All right, that goose was 25 yards. We got 25.2 out there. So at that range, you're definitely going to want to be pulling out in front of the geese and leading them enough. Definitely just aiming for the head and neck with a pattern like that, because you can see how many BBs you get on target if you're shooting those in the breast, and that pretty much just, there goes all your meat. Make sure you give them another 1 foot of lead or so. Send that pattern out here, and they're not going to be able to slip through there at all.
In the front?
The pair. 32. 30. All right, that goose was 32 yards. Check it with the binos. 32 yards exactly. So I'm going to put one in the center of the old cardboard here. Let's go check that out. There's our pattern at 32 yards exactly. You can see the size of that goose and kind of relatively how many BBs were landing on target. It's like I said, center of the pattern's kind of right in this area. You can't squeeze a goose through that pattern at all without getting hit about 40 times. So that's some good stuff. Very humane.
The guys over at Boss are great friends of mine, and they make some really, really nice products. The best products that they can put inside of a shot shell for the price that they sell it at. That's just a direct to consumer, available on the Boss Shot Shells website. That's the only place. No big box stores, so they don't have to pay any margins or markup for those big box stores. So you get a lot better quality of shot for what you're paying out of pocket. And we just kind of wanted to show that natural, real life decoy in action, honkers, late season honkers coming into the decoys, working, and common ranges that we are shooting geese at, and then what that pattern actually looks like at that range, that exact same time, that exact same day, same gun, everything, as many constants as we could provide, and shot that pattern board and pretty much just showed what actually hit that bird. And was it ethical to take that shot? Was it not ethical? The good and the bad, it was all shown right in that video. And I think it turned out pretty well. It maybe was an eye opener for some people. I know for us, it kind of was. It was neat looking at those pattern boards and seeing some of the patterns in the air before they actually hit the birds too. We had a videographer, and we had a guy running the binoculars with the rangefinder in them. And then we had another guy with an awesome photographer, Tanner Greenfield he is from Montana. He was taking photos, and he got some pretty cool shots of the shot, copper-plated bismuth, in the air before it hit the bird, so you could see what the pattern looked like right at or before impact. So had a great day in the field. The stars kind of aligned. It ended up turning out real cool and pretty neat little clip. And I was serious for one video.
One time. Well, what do you got going on with DRC calls right now, Cory?
Well, I just there we go. There's a Mountain Dew colored Psycho right there. Pull that out. So right now we're just kind of gearing up, getting ready for some product releases for this fall, and I've got a special new release for you guys. No one has seen this.
Oh, get out of here.
Not even my wife or my kids. I dreamt this up. So this is the Short Drop XL. We released this call last year. It's kind of the Short Drop 2.0. It's got a much larger bored out insert, so you're going to get a ton more volume out there. So the guys hunting lessers, anywhere that the guys are hunting lessers, I mean, Saskatchewan down to Texas, guys are chasing these lesser Canada geese, cacklers, if you will, or cackling geese. They really find benefit in a short little call like this because it's super high pitched. And I did one for the guys down in Texas, and we have got the Lone Star Lesser Edition, that Short Drop XL. So soon to be released. I'm working on this call. Will have a metal band on it. Do I have a band here? I don't, but it'll have a metal band, same as what this call has. It'll have that right there, and I'm working on the engravings for that, and then the engravings for the insert are done. So that baby's almost done, ready to be released, and you can expect a Minnesota edition, probably Life Sentence and Psycho, to come out
Nice.
shortly thereafter. So,
And I'd assume that might be something we'd see at Game Fair, but obviously with Game Fair being canceled this year, that's not going to happen. So,
right.
just a lot more internet sales, over the phone type stuff, I'm assuming.
Yeah, social media marketing, and a lot more phone calls, a lot more web traffic. So we're geared up for it. We can handle it, and we're here to help you out. So if you guys have any questions on any calls, whether you're a beginner or you're looking for something with some broke-in guts, if you're more advanced, give me a holler. Or that new Sandhill Crane call.
Oh, yeah.
Which is a hidden gem in the turkey world. I found that out because our turkeys up here, like, they don't gobble when a crow flies over. They don't gobble when an owl is hooting. But those sandhill cranes, I tell you what, like 9 out of 10 times them sandhill cranes go off, them turkeys are gobbling. So this was one of my favorite turkey calls this year right here, believe it or not.
I think that's got to be a first in the turkey world, isn't it?
Probably is.
I've never heard anything like that before. I mean,
and they're walking around together all the time. I mean, turkeys and cranes, like up here. This is the nesting area for the sandhill crane, and as well as turkeys, because they're non-migratory. So they're just walking around all over the place together, and sandhill cranes are spouting off, and turkeys are smacking their cheeks, and it's pretty fun getting out there way before the sunrise to hear the marsh come alive. Pretty neat.
The sounds, and especially that crane sound, that's an unmistakable sound. And I've talked to 2 different people in the last couple of days about crane noises, about them being like dinosaurs, the prehistoric sound.
Oh, I totally agree.
It's so cool. And obviously, we don't need to get into the populations that we have here in Minnesota. We've got the 2 different populations, that mid-continent population that does some breeding up in the northwestern part of Minnesota where you're at, and then there's that eastern population that comes over to the central part of the state. Well, that population, Cory, is growing, as you know, and where I'm at here in western Minnesota, we're a little bit outside that range, but for the last couple of years, there's been a breeding pair literally right behind my house here. So
cool.
It is pretty neat. I got a big marsh back behind me. It's geese. There's actually some swans back there this year. And yeah, man, I love that noise. I think they're cool birds. Hopefully we get a season statewide on those birds here soon, because they're delicious. And
everyone needs to eat a sandhill crane once in their life.
Gosh,
can't go wrong.
And I kind of got introduced to cranes through you, of course, and then eating the cranes. And I can't remember if it was you that told me to eat goose legs too. It probably was. But, man, I'll tell you what. In fact, I made a comment on a post on Facebook today on somebody else that posted something about goose legs. And I like the legs on a Canada goose more than I like the breast meat.
Mm-hmm.
People don't, people can't comprehend that the legs are going to taste so good on a Canada goose, Cory.
Yeah. Legs and thighs. My dogs love eating the legs. I've got a pretty cool trick to feed the dogs a lot of the leg meat. So I give the legs to those guys as a snack quite often, and then I save the thighs and the breasts. So I usually go that route. And then the feet, actually, the feet have not the leg bone itself, but just the foot has a lot of cartilage in it, a lot of glucosamine, chondroitin, good for their joints and bones and hips and stuff like that. So I feed the feet to them quite often.
How do you do that? You just cut off a foot and throw it to them, and they just chew it up? And
that's how it happens. Yep.
I mean, they eat the whole thing though. It's not. They just don't chew on it. They just eat it.
Just crunch. Yeah, they just eat a goose foot. Just crunch away. If your dog won't eat it, probably throw it on the grill for a while and cook it up a bit, and I bet you they will.
A little S&P on there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I wanted to bring up before we got to run here, but I wanted to bring up dogs before we finish this interview, because that's something you've been doing a lot more lately is working with dogs, and then in the summer, getting them all those fancy ribbons you got on the wall there, Cory.
Yeah, you bet. So Rue is signed up for a couple hunt tests right now. We're trying to qualify her for the Master National. That's coming up in close to St. Cloud here in October. So she is working on a few more master passes to get her qualified for that. She spent a bunch of time down in Texas, getting tuned up, and we're training every day around here. We got Boone. He's just kicking it. He's just a hunting dog now. He's titled out and everything that I want to title him in. So he's living the life of leisure. And we got a couple new puppies too, Bonnie and Tilly. Tilly is a good friend of yours. She's down with Mid-Migration Outfitters Tony Crotty right now, and that's going to be his hunting dog this fall. So if you want to hunt with Tilly, who would be a Tony-owned, Cory-trained hunting dog, you can book a hunt with Tony Crotty, a good friend of this show, and see her progress and see how she's coming along. But she'll be about 1.5 or so this hunting season, so she's going to be a valuable asset to the goose field. And yeah, we're just chipping away, training every day. The COVID thing has been huge for puppy sales. We haven't had any puppies for sale ourselves, but I know a lot of people that were looking for dogs and bought dogs. So if you fall into that category and picked up a dog in the last few months of any shape or size or breed, I have a very strong recommendation for you as far as training goes. Bill Hillman has a lot of free stuff on YouTube, and he has pretty much wrote the puppy training Bible from dogs when they are 7 weeks old to 6 months old. So if you have a dog right now, a new pup, just picked one up, I strongly suggest checking out Bill Hillman on YouTube and looking up his puppy stuff, because it is second to none. And then what I found a ton of success with after that 6 months, Tim Springer down by Marine on the St. Croix, northeast of the Twin Cities. He's got him and his wife, Tim and Lauren Springer, have dynamic retrievers, and Tim's got a cool new product out there. It's the dynamic DIY program, and that's a do-it-yourself training thing where you get Tim one-on-one via phone calls, video, text message, to help you out with training. So if you want to do the work yourself, but you're looking for help from a pro, that's a great program to check out too if you are looking to get your dogs tuned up for the hunting season this fall. And that's what I use with Bonnie and Tilly. That's the exact same program that I've used, and with Rue as well. I use the Hillman stuff till they're about 6 months old. Awesome puppy stuff. Any dog too. I mean, I'm talking Labrador retrievers, but if you've got a Great Dane or if you got a 7-pound little fluff ball, I mean, it all works the same. It's all the same psychology. And that Bill Hillman stuff, I tell you what, if I could write the laws, I would say if you want a dog, you got to watch Bill Hillman stuff before you get a dog. It is just, it's incredible. I mean, just perfect dog psychology. And you want to start everything out right and have just a buddy that is just connected, just very well connected with its owner and very well socialized. Can't say enough about that puppy training method. It's awesome. So,
well, I've got a neighbor that's got some Great Dane puppies coming up for sale here. So maybe maybe I'll use a Great Dane this year in a slew.
Yeah, why not?
Use the Hillman, awesome. Bill Hillman method. All right, Cory, people want to get your calls, find out more about what you're doing. Where can we find you across the interwebs?
Oh, come on over to drccalls.com. Cory Loeffler on Instagram, DRC Call Co. on Instagram, DRC Call Co. on Facebook. Oh, you just start searching any of that stuff and you'll run into me. And if you want to get a hold of me, give me a shout. I'll help you out. Whatever it is, gardening, dog training, goose calling, give me a cooking.
Very good. Cory, thanks for being on the show, man.
Thanks.
Now is the time to start thinking about chasing big walleyes on Devil's Lake. Get on the fish at Hay-Bale Heights Campground and Resort. Hay-Bale Heights makes it easy for you to make memories on legendary Devil's Lake with guided fishing and lodging packages. Or bring your own boat and rent one of their cabins on East Bay. Hay-Bale Heights offers a private marina, fish cleaning station, and the opportunity to relax and enjoy your bucket list trip to Devil's Lake, North Dakota. To book your trip, visit haybaleheights.com. That's haybaleheights.com. Hey anglers, looking for a destination where walleyes, fresh air, and fish fries are a way of life? Look no further than the famous waters of Lake of the Woods. From Badette and the Rainy River to the main lake up to the Northwest Angle. Here you'll enjoy the best walleye catch rate in the state. Maybe you'll pursue world-class sturgeon, pike, or muskie. Plus you'll find lots of full-service resorts offering charter boats, delicious meals, and lots of Minnesota nice. Come experience the walleye capital of the world. Come experience Lake of the Woods. Catch the details at lakeofthewoodsmn.com. If trophy lake trout and monster northern pike are on your list this summer, book a trip to Tazen Lake Lodge in northwestern Saskatchewan.
Everything from numbers to big fish.
See pictures, videos, and more at TazenLake.com.
This is quite the fishery.
Our 5-star chef will feed you well after a day of chasing giants on Tazen Lake.
Dream come true.
Get rates, dates, and more of what you can expect
It could be the best fishing you've ever had in your life.
at TazenLake.com. That's TazenLake.com. Tazen Lake Lodge is a proud partner of Tourism Saskatchewan.